You're listening to the Red Man Podcast.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Red Man Podcast. I'm Chris Mosley, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Kolby Cron. Kolby, how are you doing today?
Oh, I can't complain, Chris. How are you?
Well, so far so good. The day's still early. You know, things can go wrong in a hurry, but we'll knock on wood and keep going. Hope nothing happens, nothing bad anyway. So we're back this week with another profile. Last week we did an arachnid profile on the Goliath bird eater, and I say last week, it was actually a couple of weeks ago. I have another arachnid, and that was not on purpose. We just have back-to-back arachnids this week, and this time it's the Arizona bark scorpion. What are your experiences with scorpions?
The only scorpion I've ever interacted with was when I was a young kid growing up. We took a family trip to San Antonio, Texas to see the Alamo, watch the movie. It just came out, and I purchased a little keychain the shape of Texas with a scorpion in it.
Really?
That's the only time I've ever
I thought you were going to say you saw a scorpion at the Alamo or something.
No, I did not.
So
I did buy one.
No encounters with any live scorpions. There are, this show is obviously based out of Mississippi, and there are scorpions in Mississippi.
We've dealt with them as a company. I just haven't seen them myself.
We have. I don't think we really, down on the Gulf Coast, I don't think you really see them at all down there. But certainly from the central part of the state and up a little further, they are here. Again, we're talking specifically about the Arizona bark scorpion. Those things can grow up to 2.5 to 3 inches long. They're pale yellow in color, sometimes light brown. Sometimes they can even have like a darker back to them. They've got those real slender pinchers, very, very narrow tail with a curved stinger, pretty much what you would expect a scorpion to look like. Just this particular species. This is probably one of the more prevalent ones out west. It has that translucent, thin body. And have you ever seen what happens when you put them under the UV light?
Oh, yeah. Black lights, they light up like a Christmas tree.
These specifically will light up bright blue-green under a black light, which is really if you're trying to hunt for them at night, this is the easiest way to find them. Just walk around with a UV light. They can climb vertical surfaces and hang upside down, which is that freaks me out a little bit because they could literally just drop down on you. That would be unsettling if that happened. They are nocturnal, which is, I think, the same thing we said about the Goliath bird eater last week, also nocturnal. They hide during the day in very cool and dark places and comes out at night to hunt. You'll find them in their natural environment, you'll find them under bark and under rocks and logs, usually in desert zones, which, again, we don't have deserts over on this part of the country. But if as far as urban developments, you'll find them inside homes, sometimes in shoes, which would be really bad if you put your foot into a shoe and one of these things is in there.
Look, one time I took a work trip to Phoenix, Arizona. And when we got over there, they gave us a briefing. They're like, look, make sure you put your shoes up on your top shelf in your closet when you go to bed tonight. We're all like, what?
Really? Indoors?
Yeah, in the hotels.
Wow.
And we're like, why? And they're like, scorpions. They love to get in those warm, your feet are warm. They've been in the shoes. You take them off. They sense that heat, that radiation, and they go to it. And then you wake up the next morning, put shoes on, and there's a scorpion in your shoe.
That's terrible. People notice them a lot in that part of the country. They'll notice them in sinks, which I guess they'll accidentally end up in a sink, and then they can't crawl out of it, so they're noticed quite frequently. You mentioned closets. That is listed here as a common place that you find them in urban developments. Under baseboards, they're noticed there a lot. We talked about how great they are at climbing, that they can actually hang up or walk on a ceiling. And they're also found a lot in attics, which, again, our last episode, we talked about the brown recluse spider as well and how they thrive in attics. And there's a common place to find them in houses. I don't know. What would you rather have in your house? What would you rather be infested with? Scorpions or brown recluse spiders? What would be worse to have your attic full of? Because I think I know.
I think I'd rather have scorpions, to be honest.
See, I thought I was going to say the spiders. Because, I mean, we just talked about these scorpions be hanging upside down on the ceiling. They'll be getting in your shoes. And
yeah, there's something, people fear the unknown. And with brown recluse spiders, you don't know. Whereas with scorpions, they're typically more out and about. They're not as long-term.
I don't know. It just seems like,
issue.
I guess in my mind, I just feel like if a scorpion stings me, it's going to hurt worse than if a brown recluse spider bites me. However, the aftermath of the brown recluse bite is much worse.
I'm not worried about how much it hurts. I'm worried about how it's going to affect my life afterwards. It's kind of like getting bit by a tick that's carrying a various disease. Some of that stuff can carry with you the rest of your life. Frankly, I'd rather be bitten by a brown recluse than one of those.
Right.
So
I get it. Well, the fortunate thing is humans are not their target. They're not going after humans. They feed on small insects, spiders, crickets, roaches, and other arthropods. And they'll use those pinchers to literally grab their prey and then inject that venom through its stinger to sort of immobilize them. They give this, I thought this was interesting. They give live birth, which I've seen pictures of mother scorpions walking around with just tons of these little baby scorpions on her back. By the way, for a more accurate number, females give birth to about 25, somewhere between 25 and 35 young, and she's got to carry them around until they're old enough to go out on their own. Or at least until the first molt. So the newborns climb onto the mother's back until their first molt, which is anywhere between 7 to 21 days. In the lifespan, any guesses on the lifespan, or did you cheat and already see this? How long do you think?
I would say they can live up to 6 years.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
Well, very good, because it's the lifespan.
I guess right.
The lifespan is 5 to 7 years in the wild.
That was a wild guess, honestly. I did not know.
Great job, Mr. Know-It-All. You knew it. So there is a little bit of a danger. Again, we talked about they're not targeting people, but there is a little bit of a danger to humans. I mean, when you get stung, there is an immediate intense pain that you're going to feel, followed by some numbness and some tingling. It can cause some muscle twitching, does some weird stuff to your muscles, causes a lot of sweating, and even in some severe cases, some difficulty breathing or swallowing, which that's kind of related to anaphylaxis shock, I guess. That you can get that from any stinging insect if you're susceptible to that. The children, the elderly, and people that are really, really sick or on, cancer patients, stuff like that, they are obviously at much more greater risk. It is very, very rare for anyone to actually die from one of these things stinging you. However, it has happened, but it's been decades in the United States since the last time that happened. So that's good news. Modern treatments today, if you get over to a hospital or whatever, you should be able to come out on the other side of it okay. We talked about how they glow, that bright blue-green color under a black light. That's not only a good idea to use, if you're outside trying to hunt them, but obviously you mentioned the potential for them to get in your closet and get in your shoes and things like that. So if you wanted to do a good, thorough inspection of your closet, that would probably be the preferred way to do it. Get a black light, look around in there, because a lot of closets have some dark corners. The best thing to do to just keep them out of your house to begin with is just to make sure you got good weather stripping around your doors and your windows. Make sure all the cracks are sealed up. A common place that I've seen them, like I used to manage an office in Meridian, Mississippi for a different company. We'll call them Big Green and leave it at that. But I managed an office up around Meridian, Mississippi, and we did have an area up that direction that had them pretty bad. And almost every instance where I found a house that had an issue with them, there was usually some kind of debris pile nearby, or firewood or something like that. They love debris piles. So if you want to keep them out of your yard, that's a way to make sure that you can avoid that. Keep the debris piles out of your yard. There are, believe it or not, door sweeps that are sort of designed out in that area to keep scorpions out. Again, thankfully, it's not a major concern here, especially with this particular species we're talking about, the Arizona bark scorpion. But there are scorpion-proof door sweeps you can get, as well as window screens. In popular culture, this specific species of scorpion is featured in the video game Fallout New Vegas. Have you ever played that?
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorites back in the day.
Well, then you ought to be familiar with this scorpion. It was in that video game.
I think they were a little bit bigger because they had radioactive modifications.
Radioactivity will probably do that to a scorpion.
Well, since we're talking about scorpions, I think this is a pretty appropriate time for us to talk about the Schmidt pain index.
I'm familiar with it a little bit.
So where do you think this scorpion falls on that?
Well, remind me what the level, how many levels is it?
4.
It's 4 different levels. So I would say this one falls on a 2.
So there's a show that came out several years ago. I think it may still be ongoing, but it kind of spreads it out a little more detailed on a scale of 1 to 10.
Really? Okay.
Because, and I agree. I mean, honestly, if you're trying to group all these different insects into just 4 categories.
I thought it was a low number, though, for the official scale.
The official scale is out of 4. But this show, they actually...
So you want me to rank it out of 10?
Yes.
With 10 being the worst, 1 being the...
Yes.
Then I would probably put it 5.
It received a 6.5.
6.5.
And once again, it is to some degree subjective because it is an individual being stung by all these insects over time.
Of course.
I would think, obviously, the more insects I've become stung by, the more tolerant I am to it over time. So
that's a good point.
You got to think about there could be some level of adjustment to this. But this individual has been stung by hundreds of various stinging insects. And on that same scale, just for a comparison, there wasn't any wasp, yellow jacket at all that was above a 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I find that pretty interesting.
Well, I did find one little, again, I looked to see if there were any recent scorpion infestations in the news. And again, I really didn't find anything that was too recent. I did find this little clip out of KTNV out of Las Vegas. It's a news station out of Las Vegas where a family was dealing with a scorpion infestation. Here's a little clip of that.
They're hideous little creatures, and at the Haycock's residence,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They've taken over. The family says they've caught more than 100 scorpions in the past 3 months.
Oh my God, no!
This guy falling from above while one of the 5 kids was in the bath.
I was literally shaking because I was so scared.
Tonight, Sandstone Property Management telling 13 Action News the problem is with the neighboring homes. They say they've had pest control come out more than once. They've sprayed the house several times, but you want more to be done.
No, they've sprayed it 1 time. And after asking them to come back and spray again, they have not done that.
According to the family, Sandstone Properties refused to seal the home from scorpions because of the cost. Dad Charles is tired of worrying about getting stung.
Oh, absolutely painful. It just shocks your whole entire hand.
It must have been on the wall because it, zapped him on his hand.
Tonight, the family is fed up. They want to break the lease, get their deposit, and get out before someone else is hurt.
I'm afraid to walk around without shoes on. And when I put my shoes on, I'm always checking inside of them to make sure there's nothing in them.
So she mentioned the shoes thing. So it is an issue. I don't know if you caught that with the kids screaming at one point because it was a cell phone video, I guess taken by one of the parents, but one of the kids was taking a bath and scorpion just dropped in the tub with them. And
oh my gosh.
They had footage of it just floating in the tub. But they said they'd caught over 100 within a 3-month span. And again, we have a lot of pest control operators who listen to this podcast, and you did notice in that news clip, who did he mention? Who did the dad mention? Hey, they're not doing a good enough job. He mentioned the pest control people, right?
That's right.
So it's important just to be aware of that. Look, you're going to get the blame for it. So anyway, I guess that concludes our little talk about scorpions. I think we don't have another arachnid this week, so
thank goodness.
We've actually covered 3 arachnids in a row if you go back to the last episode. So our control corner this week, we're dealing with a completely different insect, but it's something I would say pest control operators run across pretty often. What have you got?
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about the varied carpet beetle, certainly an insect that you do run across quite frequently in the pest control industry. Being a beetle, they are from the order Coleoptera and the family Dermestidae. These are those tiny things. You find them in your windowsill a good bit. They vary quite a bit. I guess going back to their name, in their pattern they have on their elytra on the outside. But typically they're going to have some sort of pattern, light gray, black, white, brown, sometimes yellowish brown in color. And these can actually cause quite a bit of trouble for you as a homeowner or a business if left unchecked in your home. But it's actually not these beetles that you find that are causing a lot of the damage. This is a pretty common misconception. It's actually their larvae. But before we jump into that, these adult beetles actually just feed on things like pollen. So they're really not harmful in their adult stage. Once again, going back to their larvae, they are the ones that are causing the damage. And what kind of damage do they cause, you might ask? Well, anything that is of a fibrous material, wool, cotton, any kind of natural occurring plant fibers.
Right.
They love to feed on rugs, anything like that. So they can cause quite a bit of damage to your very expensive furniture and decor that you've purchased for your home if left unchecked. And there's also a few other side effects that could be of major concern and honestly cost you quite a bit more than what your furniture would. And these larvae are kind of, for lack of a better term, bristly or spiky.
Right.
And they have a feature called a setae where those barbs, when ingested by a pet or potentially even your small child, they can cause intense pain and irritation to your...
I've never heard of this.
Yes.
Did you just make this up?
No, I did not. They can cause intense
All right, so
pain.
if you've ever seen one of these things, they are pretty freaking small.
Yeah.
So you're saying there are cases where children have ingested these?
There sure is.
My goodness.
It's more common from animals, of course.
Now, I'll tell you what I have
heard.
heard of. I have heard of people... I've had calls before where these things were in a bed or something, and people had gotten skin irritations from them and thinking I've got bed bugs or something. It turns out it's not bed bugs at all. You've got these larvae and those bristles are irritating you.
Well, imagine what that level of irritation does to the inside of your stomach compared to your skin that's supposed to, resist some of that.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they can cause quite a bit of pain. There's some stories out there of some people being very, very uncomfortable, and dogs that had to go to the vet for very expensive vet bills have their stomachs pumped because they were constantly regurgitating due to the pain and the issues that they were having from this. So needless to say, while that's the least common side effect of these pests, obviously the damage to your property is the number one thing, but you want to get them under control quickly. And first and foremost, the number one thing is just routine cleaning. As with most urban pests, routine cleaning is going to lower those populations.
Sanitation is huge in pest control.
Make the environment less hospitable for any pest, but especially one that relies on inhabiting carpet, inhabiting your curtains that are hanging around your window, in a closet full of old musty clothes that need to be, gone through and cleaned and washed, left unchecked. That makes a good harborage area for these insects.
Sure.
And I've found them introduced into a home in things brought from overseas. People bring home souvenirs, knickknacks, little, palm-made items, things like that. They'll be feeding on that, as well as other pantry pests and things. But there's plenty of different ways they can be introduced into a home. So obviously, preventing these is preventing bringing them into your home in the first place.
Right.
And any contaminated secondhand rugs, carpets, upholstered furniture. Make sure you're really, really inspecting things, cleaning them before you bring them in your house. That's a common mistake with a lot of pests, including roaches and fleas and things like that. But all those natural fibers, put them in an airtight bag, heat them up, cool them down. All these things can help eliminate a potential infestation. But as a PCO, the number one thing that we come in and do is first and foremost inspect, see where the infestation is primarily occurring at, and then do more of a broadcast application for this pest, because they likely are in a large swath of your home if you do have an infestation. And then shortly thereafter, they're not much of a problem. They're not super duper hard to get rid of. I think the biggest challenge with them is identifying where they're actually at to begin with.
I noticed it has listed here under areas to check for larvae. Bird nests? Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, so bird feathers, they like can get in pillows and feed on that, any kind of real organic material. Well, bird feathers, once they fall off a bird, is a form of organic material.
Yeah, I guess that
just
makes
like
sense.
your fingernails or anything else organic that is a disposable byproduct.
That's
they can feed
interesting.
on.
That's just not something I would have thought of. But if you've got a tree next to the house and it's got a high bird population or something, it's a possibility.
Yep, most certainly. I would say that's normally not the most common reason why they've been introduced, but it
Right.
certainly is an option. Typically, you see them; they come in a new rug you buy, new curtains, some secondhand clothes from Goodwill, what have you.
Right.
That's typically where, and then it just kind of gets out of hand. If you do have carpeted flooring, they kind of hide in there. You don't notice them, out of sight, out of mind. They're pretty small, and they can go on for years and years and years and years, and you not ever really know you have an issue until it really does get out of hand. And at that point, it could be too late for some of your belongings. But thankfully, like I already said, they're not too hard to get rid of. Just use a good permethrin, deltamethrin, anything like that would really go a long way in getting rid of them. You can use glue monitors to see if you do have an infestation to begin with, although not going to help out a ton there. But like I said at the beginning, vacuuming, you can use steam cleaners are very effective, not only for these, but other insects. If you really do have a heavy infestation and you're trying to preserve some of your belongings that may be more sensitive to a pesticide, oil-based application or things of that nature. But, focusing heavily on any of the upholstered fabric-based.
They're really not hard to get rid of.
They're
but
one of the easier.
I mean,
insects.
80% of it, I think you kind of said this, is doing just a really, really good, thorough inspection. You've got to do some detective work, figure out where they are, and then address it accordingly. As long as you do that, they're not really hard to get rid of.
And this goes for a lot of other things, but food, where you're talking about food with stored product pests, whether you're talking about your clothes with these or with clothes moths, if you're not using something for a prolonged period of time, you need to have a proper storage program in place. What do I mean by storage program? Well, you may have a bag of sugar or a bag of flour that will last a long period of time. It needs to be kept in an airtight container.
That's
where
right.
If anything's inside of it, it kills it. If anything's outside of it, it can't get to it. The same thing goes for your clothes. You don't want to have a closet slammed full of fabric clothes that you're not ever going to wear, that you could take to Goodwill and donate, or you could, tear it into consignment or whatever, throw it out.
I need you to tell that to my wife.
If you're going to wear it long term, like maybe it's a Halloween costume or a Christmas outfit or something, put it in some Tupperware containers that are airtight. Put it in some vacuum sealed bags. Those are very effective on space saving and keeping pests out. Do something to mitigate the risk, because you're wasting all this time and energy keeping it for the long term, but then you let something destroy it, and you're out your money, you're out your time, you're out your storage space. So make sure.
It's not like those. It's not like those plastic tubs and containers are very expensive. I mean, they're pretty cheap, and it definitely helps you keep more organized on top of just keeping it all safe from stuff like that. So anyway, interesting topic. It is definitely something, if you're a pest control operator, you're going to run into it at some point. So hopefully you got something out of that. So now we're going to turn to our tech talk portion of the podcast. We're going to call a gentleman named Ben Carpenter today. You've known Ben a lot longer than me, so I may just let you do most of the talking with Ben. But I guess step one is we need to get Ben to answer the phone. So let's try that now.
Hello, Mr. Chris.
Ben, we're calling you today because you are on the Red Man podcast. I guess you'd be our third victim. So Kolby, you want to tell, or you want to take it away with Ben? You know Ben?
Yeah, Ben. How are you doing today? You doing all right?
Oh, doing good.
He sounds like he's
putting roach motels up.
He sounds like he was worried about
putting out some roach motels. I hear you. Well, look, we just have this segment on every one of our podcast episodes where we just randomly call a technician, ask them how their day's going, see what they're dealing with out in the field. ask them some relevant topics regarding our conversation from today. So sounds to me like you're out there dealing with some roaches.
Oh yeah, we got a few of them.
What kind? Are we talking about German roaches?
Wood roaches.
Oh,
wood roaches. Fun stuff. Well, look, Ben, we've had a few of these already where we've talked to other individuals in the company, and up until this point, we've had quite a few long tenured employees, and we always ask them the question, what have they found that they actually like about the pest control industry over their years? In the case of you've only been with us less than a year now. You're fairly new to the industry. Of course, you've known me for quite a while, so you've heard about different aspects of the business. But what are a few things you've come across thus far that you enjoy, and maybe throw a few things out there you don't enjoy?
Yeah, I'm more interested in what you don't enjoy, but go ahead and tell us both.
Oh, I definitely have to say the heat for now.
Oh, I agree with that.
At 110 on the heat index is rough.
It's ridiculous.
But, it's good for exercise. Don't have to go to the gym.
You should keep your weight down, that's for sure, standing out in that all day. What do you like?
What do you like since I started?
Really? You've lost 20 pounds since you started?
20 pounds,
My gosh, I need to get out in the field more.
Me too.
I really do, because I probably put on 20 pounds since you started. So what do you like about it then, Ben?
Oh, it's definitely talking with the people, being outdoors. Yeah. I hate to be stuck at a desk job, and everyone out here, they enjoy what you do. They want you to be here. A lot of them like to learn, and sometimes I learn from them.
We heard that from the last guy. He said, I like being outdoors. I think that is a common thing with people that, which I don't know, Ben.
That's your high and your low.
That's your high and your low. Yeah, you said the heat sucks, but but being outdoors is also a high point.
Well, that just tells you how good it really is during the nicer weather parts of the year. Well, look, Ben, when I was out in the field a good bit years ago, my favorite thing about the industry was kind of like what you said, some of the people that you meet, but I really got a kick out of some of the cool things you would see. An example that I would kind of always give to people is there's this guy, he had a home that literally the inside of it was like a natural history museum. He had fossils, he had artifacts from the Civil War and from the American Revolution and the, all these different points in history. Have you had? Give me an example of one that you've ran into.
A memorable customer. Do you have any yet?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of a week or so ago. I went into a younger guy's house, really about my age, I'd say. And this entire house, it looked like the set of that '70s show. Everything was dated and aged. Light bulbs were pink and green.
Wow. Huh. And he's closer to your age?
Yeah.
I mean, did he decorate it on purpose that way, or he just inherited a house that had never been updated, or was that even discussed?
He liked that style.
Wow.
I complimented on it. I said I liked it too.
Look, it's coming back. We were at T-Bone's looking at some records a couple weeks ago, and it's coming back. I mean, that the 70s, 80s, what goes around comes around. The clothing's coming back, the music's coming back. Yeah. I mean, hey, the decor is probably the worst part of that.
I would agree with that. I don't want shag carpet in my house.
People are nostalgic.
Everyone's got perms and mullets now.
Well, you only got to worry about me with a perm. But
well, look, Ben, I know you're out there folding some cardboard, putting together some roach motels. Like you said, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We appreciate you joining the Red Man podcast today, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey, stay cool out there. Drink some water.
Oh, yeah, sure thing.
He's like, I don't want to hear it while you sit over there in the air conditioning. All right, we'll see you, Ben. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah, that's probably the last thing he wanted to do was hear from two guys sitting in the air conditioning to preach to him about stay cool, Ben. Stay cool. Drink some water.
Well, I mean, look, you hear all these guys talking. It is extremely hot. We don't really talk about safety much on these podcast episodes, but it's certainly something that you need to be aware of. I saw on the news yesterday 11 Mississippi high school band members were transported to the hospital due to heat stress, heat stroke related issues. And when you work out in the field most of your day, thankfully we have the break of getting in a vehicle and driving to and from our stops, and hopefully our customers have a little AC when we get inside of their properties. But the fact of the matter is most of what we do is outside, in and around, a lot of walking. You need to make sure you're staying hydrated, make sure you're eating a good meal the night before, eat throughout the day, take breaks.
Yeah, the heat is just brutal. I used to, I can remember years ago when I would have to go into her house, do a termite inspection. One of the nicest surprises, and it's not good for the homeowner, but it was certainly good for me. They had ducts underneath the house, and one of them had like a hole or something. And the crawl space was air conditioned.
Yes,
Like, thank you.
Yeah.
This is so wonderful. It was few and far between, but that did occasionally happen. So, but yeah, that was extremely good advice. This time of year, everybody needs to be staying hydrated and taking breaks. And you mentioned I saw the story about the band students as well. Were you in the band when you were in school?
Yeah, so I played a lot of different sports, but I was in the band up through the end of middle school.
Well, I only bring it up because I was in the band. I played trumpet, and I remember those band camps were absolutely brutal in the summer. And your band director was brutal. He acted like a freaking drill sergeant out there. So I could see. I don't want to speculate, but
I want to say something very similar. Like I said, high school is where that really ramped up. Middle school was more casual in terms of what you actually got involved with, but especially outside marching. But I do remember in my time in high school that there were some incidents like that with our band where some kids got pretty darn sick, had to miss some time because they got overheated and got sick out there practicing, and it's dangerous.
It's super dangerous, and it's dangerous for teenage students in band camp, and it's dangerous for pest control operators out there because most of us are, if we're following the label, we're having to wear long sleeves, and that just makes it even worse. Long sleeves, long pants. It's rough. It's brutal. So if you're listening to this, take care of yourself out there. Any final thoughts this week, Kolby, before we end the episode?
No, if you're having issues with the varied carpet beetles, and if you happen to be in the area that deals with these bark scorpions, make sure you reach out to an extension agent, reach out to a licensed pest control operator, get some good help, get these problems under control, and have a happy home.
We do want to remind everybody, we do have an email address. It's redmanpodcast@redpest.com. We also have a Facebook page. Well, Red Pest has a Facebook page. We'd encourage you to follow that as well because I think these episodes are sometimes posted on there as well. So I hope everybody has a good week, and we'll see you next time on the Red Man Podcast.